standing on a tightrope, hundreds of feet up. That's your first 90 days in a new leadership role. Most see it as a gentle ramp-up. It's not. Michael Watkins reveals it as a period of extreme vulnerability, yes, but also unparalleled opportunity. Every early action has disproportionate, long-term impact. Fail to grasp this strategic imperative now, and you'll face an uphill battle for the rest of your tenure.
The transition mindset. Welcome back to Audiobook Bites, where we distill powerful insights from groundbreaking books. Today, we're diving into Michael Watkins' essential guide, The First 90 Days, and specifically a chapter that many leaders overlook, Shifting Your Internal Compass, the Transition Mindset. You might be thinking, I've got the skills, I've got the track record, I'll just keep doing what I do best. But here's the catch. Many leaders stumble not from a lack of skill, but from a failure to truly promote themselves internally. This isn't about self-aggrandizement, it's about a profound mental shift, a recalibration of your very identity for the new role. Imagine a seasoned mountaineer, celebrated for conquering Everest. Their next challenge? Navigating the deep, complex currents of the ocean in a submarine. Bringing their ice climbing techniques to submarine navigation would be disastrous. Their past success, however glorious, could become a golden cage if they bring its paradigms unchanged into a new context. As Watkins himself points out, promoting yourself doesn't mean self-serving behavior, grandstanding, or hiring a PR firm to tell the world about you. It means mentally preparing yourself to move into your new role by putting the past behind you and getting a running start by working hard to learn all you can about your new position. This introduces the mental model of the transition mindset. It urges you to consciously shed old identities and assumptions. You see, a common mistake is believing, I'll succeed in my new job by doing the same things I did in my previous job, only at a higher level of authority. But this new terrain has its own unique demands, its own unseen currents, and its own political ecosystem. Therefore, a conscious internal reset isn't just helpful, it's non-negotiable. A clear mental breakpoint from your previous role. This isn't just physically leaving one office for another, it's a psychological leap. Take a weekend, or even just an hour, to mentally draw a line in the sand. Actively envision and internalize the specific demands, opportunities, and even the looming challenges of your new position. What kind of leader does this new environment truly need? What identity will best serve its unique rhythm? Once you've begun that internal envisioning, seek early, quick advice from trusted advisors. These aren't just mentors. These are people who can offer a fresh, outside perspective, helping you recalibrate before you've even fully settled. They can spot blind spots, challenge old assumptions, and help you embrace the new identity required. Imagine waking up on day one, not as the old you who excelled in a different arena, but as a newly minted explorer, eagerly absorbing the unique rhythm and demands of this new world, unburdened by past glories or comfort zones.
The bottom line, as Michael Watkins starkly warns, failure to create momentum in the first 90 days virtually guarantees an uphill battle for the rest of an executive's tenure. Your internal mindset is the engine of that momentum. 2. The learning expedition. Failure to learn is the silent saboteur of many leadership transitions. Imagine stepping onto a battlefield blindfolded. You wouldn't last long, right? Yet countless new leaders do precisely that, attempting to lead effectively without a deep understanding of the new organizational terrain. It's a mistake that costs them and their teams dearly. Michael Watkins calls your initial phase a learning expedition, a crucial intelligence-gathering mission where you're not just absorbing facts, but discerning subtle patterns, identifying critical stakeholders, and understanding the unspoken dynamics. By systematically defining what you need to learn, where to seek it, and how to process it, you transform ambiguity into actionable insight, accelerating your ability to make informed decisions. The first step on this expedition is to define a focused learning agenda. Think of it as your customized GPS, pinpointing the critical knowledge you need. Many leaders instinctively jump into action, but without this focused inquiry, they often solve the wrong problems or alienate key players. Here's the catch. Your mind will try to fit this new environment into old frameworks. But as Watkins reminds us, a similar mistake is to believe that you'll succeed in your new job by doing the same things you did in your previous job, only at a higher level of authority. This expedition demands a fresh map. While hard data like financial reports and strategic plans are important, the true treasure lies in the soft information: culture, politics, unwritten rules. These are the powerful undercurrents, often invisible, that dictate how things really get done. Like an iceberg, much of what truly drives an organization lies beneath the surface. You might be thinking, I'm a data person, show me the numbers. But those numbers only tell what happened, not why it happened or who made it happen. Neglecting these human dynamics means missing half the story, leaving you vulnerable to unseen obstacles. To unearth this vital soft intelligence, structured one-on-one meetings are your most potent tool, especially with your direct reports. Don't just chat. Go in with a diagnostic mindset, asking questions like, what are the biggest challenges the organization is facing or will face in the near future? Why are we facing these challenges? What are the most promising unexploited opportunities for growth? And perhaps most critically, if you were me, what would you focus on? These aren't just questions, they're keys to unlocking perspectives you won't find in any spreadsheet. Imagine the nuanced understanding you'll unlock, the hidden risks you'll identify, and the untapped potential you'll discover, all before making a single major decision. The bottom line: the first days in a new position are critical because small differences in your actions can have a huge impact on long-term results.
Prioritize this learning expedition, for failure to create momentum in the first 90 days virtually guarantees an uphill battle for the rest of an executive's tenure. If you're ready to master your next leadership transition and avoid those uphill battles, ensure you subscribe to Audiobook Bites so you don't miss our next deep dive into Michael Watkins' essential wisdom. 3. The STARS Framework. Welcome back to Audiobook Bites, where we distill the wisdom of leading minds. Today, we're diving deeper into Michael Watkins' The First 90 Days, specifically into a chapter that could revolutionize your leadership approach: decoding your business universe, the STARS Framework. Succeed elsewhere without first truly diagnosing the unique context they've landed in. It's like a doctor prescribing the same medicine for every patient, regardless of their symptoms. The results: frustration, wasted effort, and ultimately, failure to gain traction. Watkins introduces a powerful mental model, the STARS Framework, offering a robust lens to categorize and understand your specific situation. Think of it as your leadership compass, pointing you towards the optimal strategic plan for maximum impact. Is your new role a startup, a blank canvas where you're building from scratch? Or perhaps a turnaround, where you're tasked with rescuing a failing unit, often dealing with low morale and urgent problems? Then there's realignment, where a drifting but not entirely broken organization needs a new direction, a recalibration of its purpose and processes. Finally, sustaining success, where you inherit a thriving entity and your challenge is to maintain momentum and innovate without disrupting what's already working. You might be thinking, but isn't leadership about consistent principles? And yes, foundational principles endure, but here's the catch: how you apply them changes dramatically depending on your STAR situation. A common mistake, as Watkins highlights, is to believe that you'll succeed in your new job by doing the same things you did in your previous job, only at a higher level of authority. This overlooks the fundamental shift in context. Therefore, your first step is to become a forensic historian for your new organization. Dig into its past, its wins, its losses, its culture, its critical junctures. This deep dive into its unique history is what allows you to accurately label your STAR. Once you've identified whether you're leading a startup, turnaround, realignment, or sustaining success, you can then align your initial strategic emphasis with surgical precision. For a turnaround, your focus might initially be more on learning what went wrong and playing defense to stop the bleeding. But in a startup, it's all about doing, building, and playing offense to seize new opportunities. Imagine waking up tomorrow armed with this clarity. You'd know precisely where to allocate your precious time and energy, what questions to ask, and whose buy-in you need most. This diagnostic clarity allows you to avoid costly missteps and choose the optimal strategic plan that resonates with your team, your boss, and the organization's current reality. The first days in a new position are critical because small differences in your actions can have a huge impact on long-term results. The bottom line: generic leadership leads to generic results.
Specific diagnosis empowers targeted, high-impact action. 4. The early win engine. You've just stepped into a new role, and immediately every eye in the organization is on you. They're not just watching for what you do, but for what you represent. This is where the early win engine comes into play, a powerful mental model designed to strategically secure impactful victories that don't just solve problems, but ignite momentum and build your credibility. As Michael Watkins wisely notes, the first days in a new position are critical because small differences in your actions can have a huge impact on long-term results. Many new leaders eager to make a splash immediately try to tackle the biggest, most complex problems. But there's a catch. These grand challenges often require months, if not years, to resolve. Therefore, the strategic leader focuses first on identifying promising opportunities for tangible early results, projects or initiatives that, while perhaps not the ultimate solution, can deliver visible wins within those crucial first 90 days. Think about the impact of a small, clear victory, solving a long-standing IT glitch, streamlining a frustrating approval process, or launching a quick internal pilot that yields immediate positive feedback. Each of these isn't just a task completed, it's a signal. But here's a vital distinction. A win isn't always a win if it doesn't resonate. You might be thinking, surely any success is good. Not quite. It's absolutely crucial to ensure these early wins align with the specific business situation and corporate culture you've inherited. In a turnaround scenario, an early win might be about stabilizing morale or cutting a small visible waste. However, in a high-growth environment, that same win might be seen as trivial. You must understand what your organization values and deems significant. Therefore, deeply understanding the context, the star situation you're in, is paramount to choosing the right battles. Once you've identified and executed these strategic early wins, the work isn't over. And this is crucial. You must communicate progress effectively to your boss, peers, and subordinates to build momentum. Picture the ripple effect. A clear win, clearly communicated, doesn't just show you're capable, but it energizes the team, shows peers you're a valuable partner, and demonstrates to your boss that their decision to hire you was sound. Imagine waking up tomorrow, knowing you've sparked that initial wave of enthusiasm, that tangible proof that something new and good is happening. Without this strategic focus on momentum, failure to create momentum in the first 90 days virtually guarantees an uphill battle for the rest of an executive's tenure. The bottom line, don't just work hard, work smart, making every early action a strategic stepping stone to lasting influence.
5. The boss negotiation matrix. Your relationship with your boss is not a passive given, a fixed point you simply navigate around. No, according to Michael Watkins, it's a dynamic, negotiatable landscape, a concept he brilliantly frames as the boss negotiation matrix. This isn't about manipulation, it's about empowering yourself to proactively shape this crucial dynamic, transforming it from a potential bottleneck into a powerful accelerator for your success. Remember, as Watkins wisely points out, the first days in a new position are critical because small differences in your actions can have a huge impact on long-term results. And nowhere is this truer than in how you architect your connection with the person leading you. So, where do you begin? The first, non-negotiable step is to take 100% responsibility for making that relationship work. You might be thinking, but my boss should be reaching out too. And yes, ideally, but a true high performer doesn't wait. Imagine you're a conductor and your boss is the lead violinist. You don't wait for them to decide the tempo, you set it, you communicate, you ensure harmony. This means actively seeking to understand their style, their pressures, their aspirations. It's on you to initiate contact, to clarify, and to prevent misinterpretations from festering. Here's the catch. Responsibility isn't just showing up, it's about clarity. You must clarify mutual expectations early and often, especially regarding priorities and challenges. It's tempting to assume you both see the world through the same lens, but that's a rookie mistake. Imagine waking up 3 months into your new role, having poured your energy into Project Alpha, only to discover your boss secretly prioritized Project Beta. That's wasted effort, frustration, and a dent in your credibility. Therefore, proactive conversations about what truly matters, what success looks like, and what obstacles you foresee become your most potent tools. Ask, what are your top 3 priorities for me in the next 30, 60, 90 days? What are the biggest challenges you see coming down the pipeline that I should be aware of?
Don't wait for annual reviews. Make it an ongoing dialogue. But it gets worse if you don't also secure the fuel for the journey. This brings us to the art of negotiating for necessary resources and doing so strategically. Simply asking for more budget or headcount rarely works. Instead, link every resource request to tangible results and, crucially, to your boss's agenda. Frame it as a strategic investment. If I get X training for my team, we can shorten the delivery time for Project Y by 2 weeks, directly impacting your Q3 revenue target. This isn't begging, it's a business case. You might be thinking, won't my boss see me as demanding or needy? Quite the opposite.
They'll see you as someone who thinks holistically, connects dots, and is committed to delivering outcomes that matter to them. The bottom line, your ability to navigate and proactively shape the relationship with your boss is perhaps the single most potent lever for your early success, because failure to create momentum in the first 90 days virtually guarantees an uphill battle for the rest of an executive's tenure. 6. The alignment blueprint. Imagine yourself as an architect, not of buildings, but of an organization. Michael Watkins, in The First 90 Days, reveals that a leader's true leverage often isn't just in making big decisions, but in meticulously designing the internal landscape of their domain. He introduces a powerful framework he calls the alignment blueprint, 5 core elements that must work in harmony: strategy, structure, systems, skills, and culture. Think of them as the foundational pillars of any high-performing environment. If even one pillar is misaligned, the entire edifice wobbles. Strategy is your where are we going, your North Star. Structure is who does what, and how do we organize. Systems are how do we get things done, your processes, your workflows. Skills are can we actually do it, the capabilities of your people. And culture, that's how do we behave around here, the invisible glue of shared values and norms. Here's the catch. These elements don't just exist, they interoperate. Misalignments are silent killers. Picture a company with an aggressive new innovation strategy, but its systems are bogged down in endless approval layers, and its culture punishes risk-taking. What happens? Frustration, missed deadlines, talent drain. Or perhaps your R&D team has a brilliant strategy for new products, but their skills are outdated, lacking the latest tech know-how. It's like having a championship game plan, but your players don't know the rules. You might be thinking, surely these are obvious mistakes, but the subtle ways these pillars get out of sync can be insidious, eroding productivity and morale over time. Many leaders jump in and say, we need a new structure, or let's overhaul our systems. But Watkins warns against the temptation for change's sake. That's treating symptoms, not the disease. You could change everything, but if you haven't diagnosed the root cause, you'll just create new problems. Therefore, the wise leader resists the urge to tear down before understanding why the original fences were even put up. Instead, your job is to become a diagnostician, because, as Watkins states, the first days in a new position are critical because small differences in your actions can have a huge impact on long-term results. Understanding these intricate connections early on is one of those small differences that can have a monumental impact. It builds critical momentum. Otherwise, failure to create momentum in the first 90 days virtually guarantees an uphill battle for the rest of an executive's tenure. Imagine waking up tomorrow, understanding exactly which organizational pillar is out of sync and knowing precisely how to bring it back into alignment. That clarity, that precision, transforms chaotic effort into strategic impact. The bottom line, don't just lead, design. Be the architect of synergy, not just a manager of symptoms. If you want to build a truly high-performing organization and unlock your leadership potential, subscribe to Audiobook Bites so you don't miss our next deep dive into practical, transformative strategies. 7. The Coalition Catalyst. No leader, no matter how brilliant or visionary, achieves ambitious goals in isolation. Your success, especially in those crucial first 90 days, is inextricably linked to 2 powerful forces: the quality of your team and the strength of your influence network. This is where the Coalition Catalyst mental model truly shines.
guiding you to not just build a team, but to forge an empire of influence. Think of your existing team not as a fixed entity, but as an aircraft you're tasked with repairing mid-flight. You inherit talent, certainly, but also habits, politics, and maybe a few passengers who shouldn't be on board. The first, and often hardest, step is to assess these individuals. Who are the true performers? Who needs coaching? And who, frankly, isn't contributing to the mission? Michael Watkins is clear. Without a great team, you'll face severe difficulties because no leader can achieve ambitious goals on his or her own. You might be thinking, that's harsh, I can't just clear house. But here's the catch. Keeping the wrong people too long is a common trap, leading you to shoulder an unsustainable load. Therefore, make decisive personnel choices. It's not about being ruthless, it's about being responsible for the collective success. But your empire extends far beyond your direct reports. True power in an organization often flows horizontally and diagonally, not just vertically. This means you need to map the influence landscape. Imagine it as a strategic game board. Who are the key players? Who are your natural supporters, whose interests align with yours? And crucially, who are the potential opponents or swing voters you need to persuade? This isn't just about formal titles. It's about understanding the sources of power. Expertise, access to information, control of resources, even personal loyalty. A common mistake is to only focus on your boss and your direct reports. But it gets worse. Ignoring the vast network of peers and external constituencies leaves you blind to potential allies and threats. Once you've identified these critical players, you actively build coalitions. It's like weaving a complex tapestry, connecting threads of mutual interest across different departments. Seek opportunities for mutually beneficial exchanges. You want something from them, but what can you offer in return? Emphasize how your team's improved performance, fueled by their support, will advance their agendas too. It's about linking resources to results, making a compelling case that your success contributes to a larger shared victory. Imagine waking up tomorrow, knowing you have not just a strong team, but a robust network of allies, all invested in your initiatives. That's the power of the coalition catalyst.
The bottom line, your ability to transform ideas into collective action, hinges on your skill in assembling the right team and strategically cultivating a web of influence that transcends formal authority. If you want to master the art of organizational leadership and ensure your crucial first 90 days lay a foundation for enduring success, subscribe to Audiobook Bites so you don't miss future insights that could redefine your career trajectory. 8. Sustaining your impact. The journey doesn't end when the clock strikes 90 days. Far from it. This framework isn't a finish line, but a dynamic compass, recalibrating with every new challenge. Your mission now is to synthesize everything, forge your personal action plan, and embed these mental models, from the transition mindset to the coalition catalyst, deep within your leadership DNA. Because as Michael Watkins warned, failure to create momentum in the first 90 days virtually guarantees an uphill battle for the rest of an executive's tenure. This continuous self-promotion isn't about grandstanding, it's about mentally preparing yourself to move into your new role by putting the past behind you and getting a running start by working hard to learn all you can about your new position over and over again. But here's the catch, even the sharpest tools have limits. You might be thinking, does this apply to every leadership scenario? The framework thrives on change, on building and adapting. Therefore, if you find yourself in an extremely static environment with no clear levers for influence or change, its prescriptive urgency might feel misaligned. Continuously assess and refine, understanding that adaptive intelligence is your greatest asset. The bottom line, mastering leadership transition is a perpetual journey of learning, adapting, and building, ensuring your impact resonates far beyond any initial sprint. If you want to continuously sharpen your leadership edge and navigate every career pivot with wisdom, subscribe to Audiobook Bites now so you don't miss our next deep dive into executive excellence.